Hello, welcome to a new episode of Geek Lunch Me. I'm your host Chris, as usual, and in this episode, something a bit different. I'm going to put together and paint a 3D printed figure of Sue Storm from Fantastic Four. Yes, my good friend Lee asked if I would paint up a figure of the Invisible Woman herself that he had purchased off of eBay. He also happens to run Comic Book XS, an online comic book store that I'll put a link to in the description below, so you can peruse and buy some comics and help out a local comic store. Now, I've never painted a 3D printed model kit before, so I'm really interested to see how this is going to go. And don't forget, if you like the video, hit the thumbs up, helps us out a great deal. And if you're not already subscribed, why not mash that subscribe button? We'd absolutely love to have you as a subscriber at the channel. So it's quite fitting. I think the Fantastic Four movie starts filming shortly, comes out next year. There's only just over a year to go, so I'm just going to move on with that. Vanessa Kirby will be playing Sue Storm in the movie. I believe this figure is more of a sort of anime manga style figure. So without any further ado, let's get stuck in and see what the 3D printed kit of Sue Storm is like. So welcome to the commentary part of the video. As I said in the introduction, never painted a 3D kit before, so I wasn't sure what to expect. I know they've come on sort of leaps and bounds since the original ones. We had loads of layer lines, obviously with the resin. As you can see, there's the hands, lovely detail on them. It was like, as soon as I opened that, I thought, yes, it's going to be a nice kit. Then we've got the base, Invisible Woman plaque on the front, just some sort of rocky area on the top, big indentations for her boots. That is basically, that was the only sort of blip on it, just a little blip in the resin, just needs sanding down. So this is the optional force field effect, which my friend said on eBay showed it in clear resin. He contacted the seller and they said obviously you can't get clear resin, which is obviously a load of crap because you can, but they'd obviously done it cheap and sent it like that. So I decided I will try and replicate that in using UV resin in clear, which I've not done before, so that'll be an experiment as well. There is the head. So again, beautiful detail. You can see the sort of anime sort of styling on that. But yeah, all those strands of hair, sort of, you know, nicely printed. Just a few bits of sort of residue there, just need picking off. Then we've got the main parts, the torso with the Fantastic Four logo on the front. Some lovely printing on the sort of mesh work on the sides. You know, it's picked up all the detail there. There's just a few, you can see a few little bits where there's been some supports there, which I will just sort of slightly sand down and just get rid of those. And then onto the last part is just Sue Storm's legs. As you can see, she's got some big chunky boots on, the sort of style they've done there, with sort of buckles down the side. And again, there's the mesh that runs down the side of the legs, which I'll do in a sort of contrasting colour, just to add a bit of extra detail. There was just a slight bit of a sort of wet, I'm assuming it was like wet resin left over, which just wiped straight off, not a problem. There's all the parts just laid out, quite easy to put together. They all fit together really well. I just used super glue, which I'd read was the best thing to use on 3D prints. So they all went together really well. Left no joins whatsoever, visible joins. So I didn't need to use any filler to fill in any seams at all, which is fantastic. I think I slightly sanded down that sort of big peg in the middle there where the torso fits onto the legs, just to get a better fit. As I said, when it all goes together, the seam has been sort of cleverly hidden by the belt there, so no need to use any filler whatsoever. On to priming the figure in black. I don't have a fancy spray booth indoors, so I'll have to go outside, and luckily summer here in the UK coincided with the day that I decided to do this. If you haven't got a Lazy Susan, I'd recommend getting one. Just makes it so much easier for turning figures like this around when spraying. I then decided to come in with a zenithal prime using the airbrush from a 45-degree angle from above. I'll insert some pictures of the paints I use so you can see what colours they were. I should say the head is not glued on there. I just thought it'd be easier to prime the head at the same time. And her feet are only lightly glued to the base, which I thought would make it easier for this stage of the painting. And obviously doing a zenithal prime like this from an above angle gives you sort of natural highlights of where sunlight would hit the body from above. So with the head removed, it was just onto the first colour, and this is just a dark blue that I decided to go over the entire body with. I was really pleased with the results. It gave a nice even coverage all over, and it was exactly the colour I was looking for Fantastic Four uniform. I then mixed in a lighter blue and basically zenithal highlighted again, just letting the airbrush do all the work and producing a natural highlight. I just kept adding in more of the lighter blue and just did some more subtle shading just on the very highest areas. Then when it was all dry, just back indoors, brush painting the gloves, the belt, the collar and the boots, all just say with a standard matte black. And just starting to paint in the Fantastic Four logo on the chest area. The head's got a base coat of some sandy colour, and then this will get highlighted with some dry brushing of lighter tones just to bring out all of those strands. And then a simple basic flesh colour, there isn't any texture to the skin. I decided just a simple one tone without any shading was appropriate for this sort of anime styling. Then I mixed some black ink in with the original dark blue tone just to pick out all of that mesh colour say that runs down the sides of the body. Then I knew that painting all the white onto the logo was going to be tricky, so I decided to just get on as best I could, and then I tidied it all up just by going over the black again. Then the base got a coat of orange. I decided to do a sort of orangey rock I thought would complement with the blue nicely, and then mixed up a sort of dark orangey brown as a wash and just put it all over to shade, getting all the cracks and crevices there. Then it was a quick dry brush of the hair, just adding in more yellow and white to the original sandy colour and just working up the highlights. Then the buckles on the boots, and there were some small details on the belt as well that I just picked out in silver. The rocks then got a quick dry brush using the original base tone, and I think I just added a little bit of sandy colour into it just for the main top highlights. The nameplate I just painted in silver and then just matte black to cover the rest of the base and neaten it all up. And then onto the parts I knew would be tricky, all the details on the face. The lips just get painted with flat red. I then did mix in a little bit of the flesh tone and highlighted the bottom lip slightly. And then coming onto the eyes, always pretty much the trickiest part of any figure painting. Luckily these were sculpted in really nicely, so I just basically followed the contours with the black paint. It was then a case of carefully painting in the whites of the eyes, and going back and forth between the white and the black, just neatening everything up until I was happy with the final result. Then it was just a quick pale blue to pick out the irises, and then a final black dot in the middle for the pupils. So onto making the resin force field, I decided to take the original one that they provided, put some cling film on it, as I wasn't sure whether or not the resin would completely sort of stick to the shields. I thought at least I could peel the cling film off. It was slightly runnier than what I thought it was going to be. I realised that this wasn't going to produce a completely flat surface like the piece provided. For the sort of organic force field effect, I thought it would work really well. As you can see, it sort of started to run off the edges a bit there, so I decided that was the time to hit it with the UV light that came with the bottle of resin. This is a USB rechargeable light that came with it, which is really handy. So I just exposed it for a few seconds until it had completely cured, and then peeled it off and ended up with this effect, which I was really pleased with. So I will just leave you with some beauty shots of Sue Storm from Fantastic Four. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, eat geek and be merry!